What's going on, guys? It's Hayden, and I'm bringing you the draft recap to the ISL World Cup 2 VGC tournament we are doing. This is going to last through probably Christmas, I think, is when the championship will actually happen. Here are the 27 teams, and I will be breaking them down in more detail as we go on, but these are the 27 teams, with some of the rules that we're going to be following if you're new to the channel. There are obviously 27 teams, 9 teams per division, so 3 divisions, all having a draft, their own unique draft. So each Mon could, in theory, be drafted at least 3 times, and a lot of the heavy hitters obviously did. But let's go ahead and jump into this draft recap. It's not going to be a full breakdown of each team. I'm just going to be like naming their heavy hitters, some of the lower tier mons I like, and I'm not going to be ranking them because I honestly I couldn't give an honest review or rankings. Not like I'd be more equipped to do a singles draft league, not a VGC. But with that being said, let's go ahead and go to the Cernius division and start out with the Portland Lechonks, coached by Nan, who drafted Ursaluna Bloodmoon, Volcarona Salamence with support mons in Alolan Persian, Rabombi, and then their low tier mons and Furret and Golduck I hope pop off at least once during this tournament. Next is Sachin, a newcomer to the ISL, coaching the Snorlaxing, who drafted Ursaluna. You'll see a lot of Ursaluna drafted very early, both forms, to go along with Torkoal, Faragiraf. Really like the Scrafty pick. Love Fungus. Rage Powder, Eviolite Fungus is really good. I did a few practice battles with it. Thought about drafting it myself, but wanted to go another route. But yeah, and apparently Torkoal with Drought and a good Fungus with good Rage Powder user or Follow Me user next to it, or even Trick Rooms that are like Faragiraf is really, really good in this format, and I hope I see Torkoal just absolutely pop off. Next up is Dream Eater, another new coach to the ISL, coaching the Rhinelander Regidracos. And they drafted Artiludon, started the Rain team with Politoed to set up that Electro Shot. Also drafted Hariyama Basculegion, even though Last Respects is a little nerfed in VGC where it can get a max of 150 base power. Once again, if you have a Follow Me user or Helping Hand user, Last Respects just runs through teams. And this is the first team with a 1-point mon that I really like, Duocean. In theory and on paper, I really like. So hopefully it shows up to a few battles this tournament. Next up is Armad Josh of the Toronto Tyrantrums. They decided to draft Goldango, Tyranitar, Gallade, and Mamoswine. And then they also have Perish Song Lapras, super fast Electrode in the back. Do I know if their team's good? No, but I do know that Goldango is one of the biggest threats, if not the biggest threat in VGC. So just having that on their team makes them a threat in this tournament. Next up is Tuna Chicken of another new coach to the ISL. And I forgot their team name, but there's a lantern. I think it's Lazy Lanterns. And then they drafted Garchomp, Corviknight, Magmortar. They can set up the snow with Abomasnow, obviously. Male Meowstic. And yeah, just solid team on paper. Next up is the Houston Toros, coached by Grouchy Wouchy. They were in our last ISL tournament, and they drafted Sneasler, Rillaboom, Gastrodon, which I can't remember the last time Gastrodon was actually drafted in a league or tournament, but I might just be just totally misremembering something. And then I really, really like the Toucannon pickup. I hope Toucannon pops off in one of these weeks, and I will make them the battle of the week. Each division will have a battle of the week, so hopefully we see Toucannon in there at some point. Next up is DJ Red, coach of the Virginia Merrills. They joined us for our last season, and they drafted Sinistcha, Sylveon, Palafin. I get it's VGC and you have to swap them out, so it's probably going to lead, and that nerfs it a little bit, but 15 points for that Mon. I don't know. It's probably just my singles brain, just like I almost drafted it just because it was 15 points, but I went obviously another route that you guys will see later on. Murkrow is one of the best just support mons, apparently. 13 points isn't bad to NFE, so just throw an Eviolite on it and then give it 3 support moves, and you're basically good to go. Lower tier mons, really like Oricorio for 4 points because you get all the forms, and then Venomoth could pop off against the right team. And then next up is our longtime coach in Mike of the Vermont Chi-Yu. They drafted Annihilate with Arcanine, Noivern, Slowbro. As you can see, they really went in on Annihilate and then kind of evened out their points to build just a really solid team around Annihilate. So maybe we'll see Annihilate fight for that MVP spot. And then finally, last coach in the Xerneas division, Dorian, another new coach to the ISL, coach of the Thank You for Your Service. I actually really like this logo, one of my favorite logos that I've seen. And they built around Dragonite, Whimsicott, and Incineroar, with their lower tier mons and Hunter and Palossand I'm not quite sure of in this format. Same for Cryogonal, even though I think it has a place in at least 1 or 2 weeks. But some of the coaches have been hyping up Yanma a lot for its it gets like Tailwind, Hypnosis. We were just talking about some of these, but just Tailwind and Hypnosis plus. I think it also gets Baton Pass, so you can Baton Pass. I don't even know if Yanma gets Speed Boost or if it's just Yanmega, but they've been hyping up Yanma as the best or second best 1 point mon that we have in this tournament. But that is the Xerneas division. So let's go ahead and move on to Yveltal. We have Pokemon Queen, new coach to the ISL, coaching the Seismic Swamperts. And they drafted Rillaboom with Incineroar to go along with Hatterene, Metagross, and Salamence. So 2 Intimidate users right off the bat. Really good Trick Room user in Hatterene. And then 3 NFE 1-pointers in Combustion, Magby, and there's Yanma once again. And obviously the mascot pick in Swampert. Moving on to Tenacity. Another new coach to the ISL, coaching the American Ampharos. They drafted Dragonite, Alolan Ninetales, and Greninja with Faragirif. Skeledirge, I've only had once in my I guess drafting career, if you want to call it that, and I didn't decide to tear it, and it was awful for me, and I dropped it after like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I forgot what it was. But I do see Chimecho down there at 1 point. Just got a Mega, so hopefully it does well in this tournament. I also really like that Mega if you guys haven't seen it yet. Next up is Travis of the Moss Deep City Sharpedos. Nice to see them back in another ISL tournament. Another Archaludon and Politoed Rain team. This time with Palafin and Murkrow and Armorogue. Is that how you say it? Put it in the comments. I don't know how to say that properly. Let's look at their lower tier mons. I hope Decidueye pops off. I really like them. Drillbur's interesting. I'm not entirely sure what it does. And then Cyclizer for 2 points. Shed Tail, Regenerator, so maybe Choice Scarf. I'm not sure. But yeah, looks like a very solid team on paper, especially at those top 5 or 6 mons. Next up is another newcomer to the ISL, Club Shay Sharp of the Boise Blastoise. Drafted Ursaluna Bloodmoon with Gothitelle for trapping. Smeargle, 17 points, as you see that right there. I don't think it's worth 17 points. I don't care if it can learn every single move. It should be max 12. Its stats are terrible. I get that there are some shenanigans where if you don't prep for it, it can like set up and just immediately blow you back. But so can a lot of 10 and 11 and 12 point mons, so I'm probably going to get blasted for that in the comments. But I'll own that one. It should not be 17 points. Fletchling for Tailwind, 2 points. Alomomola at 2 points is kind of interesting because I feel like it gets enough moves and does its job well enough to where it shouldn't be 2 points. But Wolfie knows more than me, so I'm not going to really fight back on that. Next up is our 4-time ISL champion, I believe. Maybe 5 if you... I'm trying to count because of the old and the new ISL. Of Xavier of the Dallas Victory Stars. They decided to draft Annihilate, Primarina, Superior, Kilowattrel, Magmortar, and some of their low tier mons. I really like Berserker, Beartic for reverse rain sweeping. If you Terra it, maybe Terra Electric or Terra Grass, could reverse sweep in the rain. So that's a nice pickup, especially for a lower tier point mon. Always a solid team. And yeah, just can't wait to see what they do in this tournament. Next up is another newcomer to the ISL and Boaz 22 of the Anastar Firebirds. They drafted Basculegion and Pelipper, so their rain team setter is going to be Pelipper for this one with Alolan Raichu. Do they have... Oh, they have Indeedee female at the bottom to set up that Psychic Surge on switching. And they also got Ursaluna round 6, which is an amazing mid-draft pickup. I'm not sure what their lower tier mons are going to do besides Alolan Raichu. I obviously love Rhydon. It's my favorite Pokemon, but hopefully that pops off more than what I think it's going to do. And let me turn up this music just a little bit, because it seems a little low to me. But let's continue on with our league owner, Gavega of the Utah Wheeze. I think he said that his girlfriend drafted Clefairy for him round 1. That is the mon that she wanted. So shout out to him for doing that. Then he drafted Porygon Z, Sinistcha to go with it, with Scrafty and Corviknight. Low tier Lapras, Parasong, Espathra at 9 points is very interesting, especially after he explained why he drafted it. I'm not gonna say that on video because could give away some of his later week draft prep, but I can't wait to see everything with Espather because on paper, even in VGC, it should be worth more than 9. But moving on to Hamish of the Royal Regieleki. They've been with us since I believe the last World Cup. They drafted Goldango, Volcarona, Garchomp, Blastoise. They also have Fungus, really nice low tier pickup, and then Scraggy for 1 point. That was the other Mon besides Yanma that basically everyone who's played VGC was like, yeah, that's going to be the best 1 point Mon. So really excited to see that whole team come together. Also, Galarian, Weezing, and Slacking on the same team. So Slacking could pop off 1 week if both just stay on the field with each other. Moving on to our last team in Yveltal, and that is the Fiendish Meep coaching the Fiend City Froakies. They decided to draft King Gambit, Sneasler. There's Torkoal with Charizard, so Solar Power Charizard with Drought Torkoal. They also have Ditto, interesting pickup. Not a lot, but some people were questioning every time someone picked Ditto, and it's kind of just like it's 3 points and you get one of their Mons. So it's like if it was 12 points, what is it in regular league? 10 or 12 points, somewhere in there. If it was still that in VGC, I think I would not draft it. But at 3 points, I mean, all you got to do is basically correctly pick which spot you want as the lead, or just have it in the back and then save it for a switch in on the Mon that you want. So that's an interesting pick right there. And we will move on to Zygarde, our last division, starting off with Rose of the Sunset Rose Meowstic. They drafted Gothitelle, so already has Trapping, Politoed for the rain, to help Hisuian and Electrode with Thunder. They also have a Dragon late, Delphox in the middle. Really like the Delphox pick. Interesting to see if Dugtrio will actually work out at 4 points, or even at 4 points, but I think it's too weak and frail to actually do something in doubles, but we will see as we move forward. And next up is another new coach to the ISL, as I am going to turn that music back down now that that is up. I am very sorry for what you guys just heard. But another new coach to the ISL, and Tommy Wobbles of the York City Corviknights. They just went heavy. Okay, they drafted Archaludon, Annihilate, Mousehold, Goldango, Pelipper. 5 Mons, 17 plus with 3 20s in this draft. Apparently Mousehold next to the 3 20-point Mons is just a nightmare, from what the VGC guys were saying. So that's something to look forward to in this tournament. Then the 5 1-point Mons. Yanma we've already talked about a lot. Marshtomp is interesting. They said that was a top 5 1-point Mon. Chimecho's up there in the A tier of 1-point Mons, if you want to say that. And then Intimidate Mightyena, and there's Cacturn. So very interesting team, very top-heavy team, but remember you only have to technically bring 4 Mons each week. You do have to make a team of 6, but you only have to bring 4 of them, so even if those 4 Mons are, or 3 of them are 20-pointers, I don't know, even if you are that predictable, if you're just too good to be stopped, you know? Like, is this like a Golden State Warriors after KD joins type of situation? Or is it balanced enough to where These other teams with a more balanced team's point spread could potentially catch up, but we will see. Moving on, we have Shaq of the New York Yveltal. Yes, sorry for not putting them in the Yveltal division, but these are random divisions. They have Dragapult, Cinderace, Tinkaton, and Murkrow with Amoonguss. I already talked about Fungus having Rage Powder. Amoonguss is just that, just super bulky. Probably going to be their Terra user most weeks. And if done right, that thing just doesn't go down. And that's another 2 cannon pickup, so I already love this team. Moving on, we have Tack of the Lafayette Litwicks, long-term member of the ISL, with a Torkoal Indeedee female 1-2 combo, where Torkoal could just absolutely pop off with Trick Room, Drought Eruptions, going for days. They also have one of my favorite draft mons in Florges, and then there is Scraggy again as a 1-point mon. So really interesting to see, and can't wait to see them play a few battles in this tournament. Next up, we have Vizsla of the Minnesota Timber Wolfies. Shout out to Wolfie, who made these tiers. They drafted Ursaluna Bloodmoon with Illumise, Sneasler, Male Indeedee. And then you got Malamar. You got Magmy down there at 1 point. I don't know how often they'll bring that, because there's Hisuian, Typhlosion right there. Illumise does everything Magby does, I believe, besides have a fire-type stab. So it will be interesting to see how that team comes together during this tournament. Next up, we have a co-coach team between 2 of our ISL Aqua Division members last season, and Cam and Mel of the Kalamazoo Camels. And they drafted Ursaluna, Sinestecha, Gallade, Salamence at the very end. Some of their lower tier mons, Fletchinder, Sneasel, Weirdeer, and then Colossal. A lot of people were hyping up Colossal because you can activate its steam engine by doing a weak water move into it, like you're attacking your own Pokemon. But I believe they were the only ones who drafted it, so I guess it can't be that good. Or is it? I don't know. Hopefully we see it at least once during this season. Next up, we have another new coach to the ISL, and error code of the, I know it's the Pachirichus, but I can't remember the full name, so I apologize for that. But they drafted Dragonite, Mamoswine, Alolan Ninetales. They also have Venonat round 4, which is very interesting to me. And then their other low tier picks, I'm not familiar with their game, so I don't know if they're actually good or not. But it's a very interesting team, to say the least. It has a lot of hard hitters with a lot of support mons, so maybe it'll all come together in this tournament, and we will find out shortly. Next up is yours truly, and I changed my name from the Chicago White Squawks to the Chicago Cub Foos. I'm a Cubs fan after all. So I thought it would be more fitting to go towards something that more represents them. And I drafted Incineroar because if you go back to Worlds last year, Incineroar was on like 95% of the teams or something crazy like that. I drafted Hattering because I've always wanted to use it. It's a hard hitter, has Trick Room, could be a Trick Room sweeper, so hopefully that works. Toxtricity, Dondozo, and Tatsugiri. And there's my Ditto down at the bottom. I really hope that pops off. If you want a full breakdown of why I picked each mon, I do have a video on my channel, Choice Specs Bear. If anyone else starts uploading as well for this league, I will shout you guys out during the video. But yeah, I do have a full breakdown, so I don't spend too long on this one. And finally, we have, I know I'm kind of blocking them a little bit with my face, but we have another new coach to the ISL and Yannick of the Paris Eternal. And please let me know if I'm saying that name right. And they drafted Noivern and Arcanine 1-2. As you notice, they don't have any super high tier point bonds, with Arcanine at 16 being their top. But it's just a super solid team throughout. Finished with the mascot pick and Milotic, which is very respectable. I really like the makeout of this team, and I think just on paper they all gel together really well. So even though there's not a super high tier point mon, I think this is going to be one of those teams that kind of makes its way through and deep into the knockout stage for our tournament. But that does wrap up this little video. It's not really, it's a little bit more I guess laid back than what I've been usually doing for these videos, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And once again, we will start recaps with Xerneas on Monday, Yveltal on Wednesday, and Zygarde on Friday. And we will do, I will figure out when's the best time to do the MVP race update. As you can see on the tabs below, I don't even have a tab for it yet, but there will be soon. And we will be doing our standard MVP race, where it's like, let's just go back to the Xerneas division. Ursaluna of Snorlacking, right? So Ursaluna of Snorlacking, they could win MVP, but then we will also have a second MVP that, if you watch F1, it's called like the Constructors Award. So it'd be the Constructors MVP, where the whole team comes together and wins it. So it's not one driver, or one Pokemon in this situation. But so Ursaluna was drafted 3 times. So their knockouts and differential from the Xerneas division, Yveltal division, and Zygarde division will all be pulled into one award, or one stat, I should say. And that will be the Constructors MVP for the ISL World Cup VGC. Because it would just take too much time to do the defensive and support awards for this tournament. So I thought it would be cool to have, since we have multiple of the same mon in these tournaments, I thought it would be cool to have a specific award set aside for all those mons coming together to see who truly was the best, most valuable Pokemon throughout the tournament. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here so I can finish editing this video and upload it for you guys to watch. And as always, thanks for watching.